if you do a review about a watch, it's a spot view. It's just the half an hour or hour on your desk, but it doesn't really tell how the watch feels on the wrist and if you like the watch or if you don't like the watch, if you have it on the wrist for a longer time. So I decided to do a new format. It's a video blog, a vlog, 1 week on the wrist. The first video I do is the Steinhart, and I hope you like the format. If not, leave a comment. Hello and welcome to Watch Maxie's Watch Videos. My name is Axel. I'm glad to have you on the show. Welcome to my first video blog, my vlog about the Steinhart Ocean 39 Green. To be honest, this format is really a heck of a work. I have to take a shot in the morning, a shot in the evening, some shots in between about my daily life. So for a period of 7 days, I'm focused on shooting videos, on reviewing the watch, have the watch in my personal focus. I was quite annoyed at some days, so I'm happy to do it if you really like the format. If you don't like it, or you can do, you can't do, I don't care, leave a comment and then I decide if this is something I'm going to continue with other watches or not. Day 1, the post has arrived. Let's see what's in the package. Oh, it's nicely wrapped. And what's inside? Paper. Paper is good, which means the watch has been stored away safely. What do we have here? That's the usual Steinhart box, a white card box outside, the paperwork, okay. What do we have here? A hang tag, also fine, and the standard Steinhart box, the white box, and inside the black box is the Ocean 39 Green. Really great, so we can start the 1 week on the wrist test. Well, I was really lucky. The bracelet fitted my wrist. I didn't have to remove a link. Feels well on the wrist. All I had to do was to remove one link from the 12 o'clock side, other way around, from the 6 o'clock side to the 12 o'clock side, because I do like a shorter piece of the bracelet on the 6 o'clock side and the longer piece on the 12 o'clock side, which makes the watch feel better on my wrist and the watch doesn't slip around the wrist even if it's a little bit head heavy. It's 11:20 in the night. The Steinhart has been on the wrist since the morning and feels well. So what can I say? So basically I would like to mention 4 points. Firstly, the watch is much more comfortable on the wrist than I recall my experience with the 42mm version. Secondly, the watch is much heavier than it looks at a first glance, but this really makes it feel well, and the tapered bracelet from 20mm at the lug to 16 at the clasp is extremely comfortable, but it divides the crowd in terms of the design. And lastly, I don't like the look of Cyclops, but I really do appreciate the function any day I get older. This was day 1, and I look forward to the next days to come. And if you wonder why I look around, this is my dog. Day 2 of 7 days on the wrist. The Steinhart is still on the wrist and feels well. And on the second day, I usually adjust the time precisely. The first day is a rough time setting just in order to have the watch on the wrist. On the second day, it's an exact setting of the time by a radio controlled watch like the G-Shock 5610. Yeah, what can I say? The Steinhart has a great lume. The luminescent power is great. I can read it all night. I like the blue lume, as you can see here. The 39mm diameter is a little bit smaller, so you don't have that much to see overnight, but it's completely sufficient to read it all night, and it is a long-lasting luminescent power. Yeah, once I've set the time, I can compare it over the next days. Walking the dog in the morning, the green Ocean 39 in a daylight condition looks pretty well, and I still do like it. It's the end of day 2, and the Steinhart is still on the wrist. It didn't fall off, so I'm still happy. But what can I say? To be honest, the Steinhart is a little bit high. It's a thick watch in a way, and it can't hide it by the shape and form of the side. You can see it here. The back of the watch is a bulky one, and the watch stands out a little bit. It's a thick watch, and if the watch slips over the wrist a little bit, the horns tend to stand out, and this is something I didn't like with the 42 millimeter version, and it's much better with the 39 millimeter. But I have to admit, I would prefer a different case shape, but this is nothing which would prevent me from wearing the 39 millimeter. It's just something I'd wanted to mention because it's part of my experience. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. That's not my time. It will never be. We have a light rain. I hope it's not going to be a really hot day. The Steinhart is still on the wrist. Yeah, what can I say? Well, if I had a closer look at the watch, I noticed that the crown is a little bit slippy. It can be operated, but with gloves it's a challenge, and I do have watches that can do better, and the same applies for the crown. Sometimes the hands slip over. You need to put a bit force on it to operate the bezel. Yeah, it's not critical, but I'd like to mention it. And here we see how I cut videos. I do it on my iPad, and the 16 millimeter on the clasp is a comfortable wear for the Steinhart Ocean 39. Another day ends and the Steinhart is on the wrist. Yeah, I'm still positively impressed how much watch you can get for a reasonably small price. There's only one thing I noticed over the day, and that is when touching the sapphire crystal, I felt that it stands out on the 11 o'clock position a little bit more than on the 5 o'clock position. I tried to put it into picture, but I don't think you can see it, but you can feel it. It's a fraction of a millimeter that the sapphire crystal stands out more on the 11 o'clock position rather than the 5 o'clock position. It's not much, but you notice it. Day 4 of 7, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and the Steinhart is still on the wrist. I just did a time check. The watch lost 2 seconds a day. Yesterday she was flat at 0, so it's somewhere between 0 and -2, which is completely fine for me. Well, whenever I look at the watch, I notice that the case shape is not really mine. I'll show it to you in some pictures over here. It is not critical, it's a question of my personal taste. You may see it differently, but I prefer watches with horns that bend down a bit around the arm and don't stand out that flat. It's nothing which is critical, it's typical for this case, but it's not my personal preference. Given the fact that the watch is sold at 395 euro and I paid 250 for a pre-owned watch, I'm totally fine with it, and I think it's gonna get a lot of wrist time going forward. As you can see, my watches have to stand tough challenges in my daily life, and that's why I need watches which are completely water resistant in order to stand the follow-up tasks after that scene I just showed to you. Day 4, 9:50 in the evening, and the Steinhart is still on the wrist. However, it's the first day that I thought I could wear another watch, and I thought at my Laco Frankfurt GMT, but this Steinhart stays on the wrist, and this is absolutely positively meant. I look forward what will happen over the next days and what thoughts I can share with you. It's Saturday morning, 9:40, and the Steinhart is still on the wrist and has a timestamp of -4, so it's losing constantly between 0 and 2 seconds a day, which is perfectly fine. What's on my agenda for today? Firstly, I have to work a little bit on my mountain bike. Well, I see I could have cleaned it up, but that's an authentic mountain bike. This is how my mountain bike looks like. I have to change the pedals for cycling with my dog, so I have to remove the clickies. What else is on my agenda for today? Oh yeah, I'm going to shoot the total review of the Steinhart, which has been released already. This is my setup, and another thought I would like to share. It's annoying to do daily shoots of videos. 7 o'clock in the evening, Steinhart on the wrist. It's my last but one dog walk. I just wanted to share some thoughts with you. The Steinhart is on the wrist, it's comfortable, and over the last days I didn't have a single thought to remove the steel bracelet, and that's an absolutely positive sign and emphasizes how comfortable it is on the wrist. It's not common for me. Yeah, and here we see the Steinhart at night. It's 11 in the night, my last dog walk, and with the artificial torchlight it looks great and feels good. Sunday morning, day 6, and the Steinhart is on the wrist. Yeah, I think it's fair to draft a summary. It is comfortable, I mentioned that. It is affordable, I mentioned that. I don't like the view of the side and the case shape, also already mentioned. But I think it stays. Maybe I'm gonna replace it with the double green version, or a version with the green ceramic bracelet, or the Pepsi GMT. The 39mm is extremely comfortable. I think I keep it in one way or another, maybe not necessarily the one I have today. And here we have man trailing. Hey, such. Okay, ja, fein. Weiter. And still on the wrist. Such. Day 6, 6:30, and the Steinhart is still on the wrist, and it's the first time I played around with different straps, and on day 6, that's pretty late for me. Who knows me knows that usually I do it on the first or second day, so this really stresses my bias towards the steel bracelet, and it's so comfortable. I think it will remain on the steel bracelet, although I usually really do play around with bracelets a lot. Day 7, 7:10, the Steinhart is on the wrist, and I really can't tell you, I am so glad that the daily shooting will stop. It was quite annoying at some time. This evening I will give you a bigger summary and my end statement. And here we see my Steinhart. You see a new display, a new laptop, new keyboard, new mouse, new chair, anything new. That's Home Office 2020, and a new watch, of course. It's Monday, 5:20 in the evening, and it's time to summarize my week. What can I say? I've 3 points which are on the negative side, to put it this way. One is the shape and form of the case. I mentioned that. Secondly, it is the sapphire crystal, which is not completely flat, which stands out at the 11 o'clock position and is a little bit flatter on the 5 o'clock position. I think for a watch, even if it costs only €400, you can do that better. And the last point to mention is the alignment of the bracelet, the minutes on the bracelet towards the minute on the dial. That's not always accurate. You have this with a couple of affordable Seikos. You have this with some Steinhart. So in a certain way, I expected that. Overall, the negative points are fine for the price, but they are not outstanding in terms of quality. It's really the quality I would expect for the money. What did surprise me? Surprisingly, I think was the weight. The watch weighs 170 grams with a bracelet in full length and even shortened to my wrist. It is really a watch which is heavier than it looks, but it's fine and comfortable on the arm. And another point, I can stand with green watches. I wasn't quite sure if a green watch would be something I would accept in my daily life. It is fine and I can wear it. So that was a really, really nice experience for me. What is on the positive side? The size, absolutely great. 39mm is ideal for me. The comfort on the wrist, great, repeatedly mentioned. The luminescence power, absolutely great. I love the blue, I love the power, and I love the duration. The clasp is a massive clasp, no steel sheet, it's massive, greatly done. Also the tapered bracelet from 20 to 16, I really, really do like it. In terms of accuracy of the movement, I did a time check over 5 days. Maximum, the watch lost 2 seconds a day. Minimum, it was 0 on average, -1 second a day. Fine for me. I don't expect more for a watch of that price tag. My summary. It is an absolutely great leisure time watch for situations when you don't want to be too focused to your watch, but still want to have something on the wrist which pleases you in terms of function and design. That's the perfect watch for these kind of situations. Value for money is good. It's not extremely above average, but it's good, it's fair. And I think the watch stays, and this stays as it is. In an earlier take, I had the thoughts of replacing it with the ceramic bezel version, the double green version, or the Pepsi GMT. No, I think it stays as it is because that's a perfect watch for me. It has signs of wear. It has a green, but not too much green. It's exactly the watch I can just put on the wrist without thinking about the watch, without being careful in any way, and that's perfect for me. Yeah, that's my summary. If you like these kind of videos, the 7 days on the wrist format or the vlog, please leave a comment. And if you don't like it, it is even more important for me that you leave a comment, because if you don't like it, I won't do it. It was annoying at some time, and I don't create that amount of work if you don't like it. But if you like it, I promise to do more of these videos. Yeah. Until then, cheers, Axel.